Hi, Michelle.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Now, you've been an incredibly busy man because you've been traveling from London to Milan to Paris doing the amazing music and amazing soundtracks for so many different
Well, thank
shows.
you so much. I like your kind words. That's very nice.
Well, music can make a show. It can really bring the atmosphere. And there's one show in particular that I felt that kind of really worked at. So I'm going to ask you about one of the shows you worked in particular, which is Raf Simons. Tell me a little bit about, firstly, how you came to work with Raf and kind of how he works with you. Like, does he tell you his inspirations? Does he give you notice a lot of time before the show? Like, just tell me how it works with him.
Okay. Well, Raf is like a very organized person in his head. He's like very precise. He knows where he wants to go. Like, I think from the very beginning of when he starts the collection. And, but there's no rules to our process. Like we know each other a lot. I mean, we know each other because we work together, like I would say 8 to 10 times a year because he's working for Dior and he's doing like 6 or 7 shows for Dior, plus the 2 shows on his own line. And I started working with him for the first Dior Standard collection, which was in 2007, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. So we know each other and we learn to discover each other along the process, so there's some kind of mutual understanding, which is very hard to describe because it's like, it's like a relationship. There's like this little chemistry that happens between him and me.
Mm. And it must be the case that I guess also you can bring something kind of, I guess you can suggest things to him, and that must come when you've had a relationship with someone for a long time, feeling comfortable enough to say, I think you should do this.
Exactly. So in this case, I mean, like, I didn't know about the collection, but about 2 months ago, I received this track that this guy called Evo, I-V-V-O, called Mark Leakey Made Me Hardcore. And of course, given, my history with Raf and what he likes and everything, and we did a show once, I think maybe 2008, and as the backdrop of the show, he was projecting the Mark Leakey movie, that Fury Made Me Hardcore. So I received this, and I just sent him an email. So listen, Raf, I just received this today, and if there's one person you should listen to, this is you, right? And we didn't talk for a while, and then I got messages from him, like maybe to go from some other inspiration, like Nick Cave, like soundtrack movies and everything. But we didn't. I said, okay, I took it all in. And then when I saw him in the studio, and when I came back from Milan, he was like doing all the fittings on the Mark Leakey Made Me Hardcore, So I said, oh, okay. He said, my God, it's so good. And then I saw the collection, I saw the clothes, and it was so obvious to me that what the show was about was this kind of thing. Like in a way, we talked about doing a no-brainer, because it was not like, of course, it's an intellectual process, but like, the feeling I wanted to get, we wanted to get together for that soundtrack was like being a no-brainer, So we thought about extending that track, which is like 5.5 minutes, and the show was 10 minutes. And so it was like, I said, sure, let's do it. So we added a lot of things to the process. For example, like Ryan got in touch with the Gavin Brown Gallery in New York, and we asked Mark Leakey if we could have the footage, if we could have like audio tracks and whatever we could do with it. So we remixed that track that we had, that evil thing, and we added extra layers of the Mark Leakey original soundtrack. We took a little sound bites and added a few of our own, which samples like club culture or whatever, like, there's this acapella from something called, her name is Chantal, and the track is called The Realm, R-E-A-L-M. It's something for your mind, your body, your soul. And like, a lot of people slow down music, so we decided to slow that voice and add it on. I mean, we just took references from the Mark Leakey thing and also references of what kids do today or whatever happens in clubs, or the club culture music. There was a whole big mixture, and I thought for that show in that space, it was like the best thing to do. And so did Raf. So we agreed on that, but we started with something else, So, which is something I quite like because to me, when you start a collection, maybe like 2-3 months ago, you're set in one kind of thing, and then something happens, you go into something else, And I like this. I also like the spontaneity of the show and the soundtrack as well.
Yeah, it's interesting that you talk about kind of spontaneity, because I think one of the things that, and also you said it was a no-brainer, and I think that's really interesting, because I think a lot of people, when I saw the show, it felt like the whole show was just a kind of a tribute to Fiorucci Made Me Hardcore, because even the clothing, it looked like it was kind of, referencing clothing in the video, and it's so interesting how those things just all came together.
I know, because the thing is, of course, all depends. I mean, for me, that's why I also thought it was perfect, was like, when you see the Mark Licky in the hardcore, and then when you watch this documentary about Northern Soul, like the Wigham Casino, is that the name of that?
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw this, but it's all the looks, the super large pants, the tiny tops, and all that kind of stuff. And it's things. Especially now, we reference things, sometimes we don't even know what you're referencing, because it's part of your culture and part of your world. And so that Mark Licky's sound was cool, because that's what his work is all about. It's about recycling things and making them different, and it makes it look desirable. I don't know. It's it was a whole bunch of things.
You must feel a big responsibility working with someone like Raf, but also all the clients that you work with and all the designers that you work with, because a soundtrack, it can really affect how people read the show. It can change the meaning. If you have, tell me more about that and how that process works.
Yeah, but also even now, this is becoming stronger, because basically, I think people are so aware of music, as opposed to 20 years ago, where music was still a bit not a niche, but people had to be more like a music fan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now it's music is all over the place. You're fed with music all day long. Music is with you all day long. You take a cab, you walk on the street, you go to a restaurant, you turn on your TV, the radio, you go on the internet. It's music is part of your world. It's it's almost like food in a way, in a weird way. You know what I mean? It's something you consume every day, even if you don't know it. So the references, people can get lost also reading a fashion show, especially when you see 15 a day. You know what I mean? So the music is also a support to the designer's idea of what he show, or his state of mind, or what he wants to show, what he wants to prove, what he wants to do. It's not about his musical taste, because that's a different thing. Even me, it's not about my musical taste. There's things I like and I would never play in the show. I make a difference. But as far as an idea and a concept, music is it should enlighten is not the word, but it should make a show it should make it more of a statement, and I think that within 1 minute you should understand what the show is about. It should take you, the show is 9 minutes long now, so within the first minute you should get it, okay, it's this. That a little bit, and then okay, that's what it is. You know what I mean?
I think
it's got to be instant.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think what's interesting with you is how you mix things together. I think that's one of the things that I've always found really interesting about your work, is sometimes you'll just sample something for even sometimes just a couple of seconds, and just tell me about the creative process. Is that something that a designer will come to you with a starting point? They'll say, this is what I'm thinking about, or maybe they'll even suggest one song, and then you'll go away and bring back lots of different kind of elements for them to bring in. How do the conversations work?
Okay, well, listen, what I like the best with all the people I work with is to have a collaboration anyway. It's never me for them, or it's never I'm telling you what to do. It's because when you do this, it never works. So I truly believe in all kind of jobs, creative jobs. I think it's the collaboration is the best way. So a lot of times, they will give me tracks I'm thinking of this kind of thing just to give me a mood. It's like a mood board basically. I love looking at mood boards. That's something I like. I've always liked that, like a collage, because it's like a collage of different things, You can take a piece, you can take some architecture, some clothing, like a nightclub, the picture of a flower or a plant. But then the thing I like the best is when I look at a mood board, like a collage like this, and if I understand it, I do the same thing with the music. I get all these images together, and let's say it's like a multi-gender blender, if you know what I mean, So, and with music, I do like that. I've always been fascinated by collage. When I was a kid, I used to do collages, on paper and stuff like that, mixing all kind of stuff. And I believe, I don't know, I don't want to sound pretentious, but in the way I mix things together, I believe I have some kind of logic, even if it's mine, you know what I mean? And I love to do that. This is what I like the best. It's what I like the best.
Because you once said to me in a separate conversation, and I don't want to use things you said to me against you while I'm interviewing you, but you once said something that I thought was really interesting. You said you don't like working people when they just treat you like you're like a human jukebox. When they're like, oh, like, I want you to play this song, like find this song for me. You like that process where it's kind of, it is a bit, it's more of a conversation and more of a collaboration.
Exactly, because it's like, because to me it's like to respect also. There's lots of things to take into consideration to the fashion store. To begin with, the person you work for, because like, whatever you do and whatever they do, it don't have to look or sound credible, because you cannot do something that's like, some DJs only play what they like to play, so it's like maybe not the right thing, and some designers are just like, this is what I listen to my kids, and that's what I want to play because that's all about me, and it's not the right thing to do, So it's like, I use their image, because I need their image as a support to what I do, and also, and I need also that culture, because it's like, tell me what you listen to, and I'll tell you what you're about, and it's an interesting process, it's like a communication thing, So sometimes people ask me how I see my job, and sometimes I think my job is like communicating also, because like music is like communicating. It's part of it's part of the process, of like letting people know what you're about, So this is what I like to do. And I love to share things, So I love to like if people don't know something and they listen to something in the show and it works in the show, it's like one of my greatest pleasure. When people leave a show and say, oh my God, that show was so good, and they love the music too, and I'm very happy. But when people tell me, oh my God, I love the music, but I didn't like the show, then I don't care. It's like this also, you know what I mean?
That's interesting. So they have to like the show and the music. That's very interesting.
Well, they have to. They have to like the whole thing. You know what I mean? The whole thing has to make perfect sense. So if they like the show or not the music, then I don't like it. If they like the music, not the show, I don't like it. Or if they like the hair or not. You know what I mean? When people say, oh my God, that show was so brilliant, it was so good, then okay, that's good. That's the nicest compliment you can get,
And tell me, last question, I'm conscious of your time, but tell me, it must really vary from designer to designer, but do some people work with you for a very long period of time, months before the show, they'll start talking to you, they'll start suggesting stuff, and for others, I imagine they're so busy where it's almost like a couple of days before the show, you'll get an email being like, what are we going to do? How does it work? And does it vary a lot?
Well, everyone has a different process. Some people, because, there's like, of course, besides the show, like some bigger shows, like there's a whole concept on the set, which like gives a different mood also. Because when you walk into, a place for 1,500 people and a place for 300, of course, the size of the room, like, is a different thing. And like, when the set is very powerful, there's like a certain way to do music. Music maybe has to be strong. It's, I think, very much the venue that dictates also, what we have to do. Also the time of the day, and depending on how well I know the designer, sometimes, we can do it like in 2 or 3 days, because I know exactly what they expect from me, and I know what to expect from them too, but this is something you can do when you know the person well, you know what I mean? So when you have like a trust boundary or something like that, I don't know if you say that word.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
When you trust each other, because and then it's working in harmony, like in the beginning, it's almost very hard when you don't know someone for the first time. It's a longer process,
Thank you so much, sweetie.
You're welcome, darling. Take care.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.